Welcome, my name is James Jenkins, and again, behind the camera is Sean DIMITRIE, and you're watching What's Your Story, Vancouver. Today we have on the show a very special guest, let me quote, by day an award-winning writer, director of online content, TV shows and films, and by night a crime-fighting billionaire playboy.
Exactly.
Now Lincoln doesn't lie. Ken, I really appreciate it.
Hey, a pleasure. I've been wanting to do this for a while.
We've been wanting to get John here for a while. Thanks for making it happen.
My pleasure.
Give us people that don't know you, kind of give maybe a little rundown of who you are, where you're from.
Well, yeah, thanks for asking. So I've long had two career dreams, and that's making movies like the Coen Brothers and Shane Black. I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Big Lebowski and movies like that. And a parallel dream, which helped fuel the film dream, was I wanted to write for Rolling Stone magazine, like Hunter S. Thompson and P.G. O'Rourke. These were my heroes growing up, comedy writers who wrote really, really tight, funny, muscular stories, and filmmakers who write tight, funny, muscular scenes. So that's what I've been pursuing back and forth over the years. And I ended up writing for Rolling Stone magazine, and I got there because I wrote for the Georgia Straight, and I wrote for the Vancouver Sun, and I wrote for student papers before that for nothing. And I can point a direct line to getting the phone call from Rolling Stone to getting the phone call after that, because they read my Rolling Stone article about sports mascot abuse, which had been published in the Georgia Straight. Won a National Magazine Award, and then because of all that work, I got a phone call from the head of CTV just before the Olympics, and he hired me to write the epic opening script that Donald Sutherland narrated for the 2010 Olympic Games. And if anyone's watching and is really curious about how do you make it, well, you hustle evenings and weekends while working a day job on things for free that you've created yourself or your friends have created, and it's strong and it's fun, and just make something new that you want to see or read every month. You do that while working a day job, then you're gonna find success as you get, and whether that's worldwide success or success as you judge it, but you've got to put the hours in.
100%. Thanks for saying that. What came first? Well, for the people that don't know, what is a copywriter?
So my day job, I work for an advertising agency called Blast Radius, and Blast Radius has been around since the 90s. It was a Yaletown creation of a startup of four guys, and it grew to offices around the world, and it's a digital agency. So rather than a traditional agency that does TV spots, radio commercials, or billboards or bus shelters, Blast Radius and agencies like it, they only do social media posts, so corporations will hire them to come up with witty, topical Instagram posts or websites. So I write the words you see on the internet or on your phone. That's what a copywriter does.
And it's evolved a lot since you started, especially with social media coming in so powerful.
Yeah, I've never been paid so much to write so little.
Exactly.
Because you have to write for a screen,
and
a screen-sized attention. You know, as we all have less and less of. You've got to make every word, every character count.
One post I noticed you shared, you mentioned how do you target millennials and you don't advertise. Is that?
Yeah, we're always writing for millennials, and Gen Z, I guess the even younger people, younger than millennials. So millennials. I think everyone's really sick of old school advertising. There was this. I saw this talk by one of the heads of Brain Station, and he said it really well. He said, for so long, for decades, advertising was about finding out what people were watching, TV is a great example. So find out what was popular, what people really wanted to watch, and then interrupt them and try and sell them something that will cure something that they didn't know needed curing.
Exactly.
And that is old school, and I think millennials hate that. The new way of advertising is experiences. And in fact, this guy said it really well. Instead of trying to interrupt the Super Bowl or interrupt some of your favorite programs to show you an ad for some piece of crap. Instead, start a bonfire on a beach and let people come to you.
Oh, nice.
That's what he wants to do with his. And that's what I want to do with my films, is just to decide that I'm doing it, that we're going to tell this really wicked story, this crime comedy that's never been made before, and then light the bonfire and let everyone else smell the fire and come on to the beach and enjoy the party.
That's a nice little plug right there. Mentioning you want to create a crime story. You have a new feature that you've written in the works of being created, I guess, as we speak.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's called Goners, Goners, and it's a really fun blend of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang meets Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead. So it's all about a mob war during a zombie apocalypse, and the zombies could not be more annoyingly timed because it all happens on Halloween, so you can't tell who's a zombie and who's just a sexy zombie costume.
Of course, it's sexy zombie.
Yeah, so it's really fun chaos. It's going to be filmed entirely in BC. Perhaps a few Irish scenes. There are a few Irish characters, and I'd like to show the scale of the zombie apocalypse around the world. Like Zombieland did a great job of that, showing TV broadcasts and little updates. Shaun of the Dead as well, just showing. I think you actually heard the newscasters talking about the outbreak. But yeah, I came up with the idea because I thought, how do I make a crime film even more tense and chaotic? And imagine if your heroes are grappling with being shot at by vicious hitmen, just as monsters want to eat their flesh. And so it becomes a three-way race for our main characters to get the hell out of the city and go north to Squamish into the woods to this fortified cabin that our hero knows he'll be able to keep the zombies at bay for 6 months. He's got enough cans of tuna to keep them alive. Yeah, but everyone's shooting at him. We're trying to bite him. It's really fun.
Well, there's a cameo by this guy right here.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
this man helped me make one of the 2 trailers to help me raise financing for the film.
You know,
And you're brilliant in it.
the muscle. I guess.
No, the head muscle.
The head muscle, exactly. Yeah. So how did you segue into the films?
I've now written, directed, and produced or co-produced 6 short comedy films. And it all began because I was writing really funny, I thought they were really funny, smart articles that sold to the Vancouver Sun and the Province and the Georgia Strait. And based on that, I got my first writing job for Cbc Tv on an arts and cultural show. Not dissimilar to the show you guys are watching, but it had government money and no one was watching. It was all happening on Saturday night. It's a half-hour show about what to do on Saturday night. So why would you watch this show? It's on.
You gotta play it at 5 o'clock, I guess.
You maybe play it on Thursday,
Yes,
while people are playing their weekend. People are watching the show at home. They're not going out to do this stuff we're talking about. Yeah. So the cool thing about that, much like SCTV back in the day where they just ran around Edmonton because no one was really watching their show at first, they could just experiment. And so my executive producer on the show, Tony, he said, listen, you got some camera time, go make a movie or make a little short something. Yeah. And so I took my CBC, I'd done a little funny 3-minute CBC radio play, entirely narrated by me, all about how Farley Mowat had eaten my brother, and revenge would be mine. And so I expanded it into a 7-minute short, and again, I was the star of it because I narrated it. And it all takes place in flashback, and my goal was to make fun of those really earnest, serious CBC documentaries. And so this film called Farley Mowat Ate My Brother. I didn't really know how to direct, but I had really great people helping me. Yeah. And it was a hit. It was kind of crazy. This is like 20 years ago. And I entered it in a ton of festivals, and it won awards, won the best short film at the New York Underground Film Festival. And that really gave me a fire under my belt. But I just remember the discipline that I developed by writing a very tight magazine column length, not super, like I wasn't writing novels. And I knew the short film, I couldn't interrupt my TV show with like an 18-minute short. I had to really capture people's attention and tell the whole story in less than 10 minutes, and that was really good discipline. So I've been applying that discipline as often as I can, keep my short films short. I did one short film that was 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, people fall in love, guy proposes, she says yes, they're all excited, they go, wow, our life's just going to be so great now, and then a nuclear bomb explodes and kills them all.
Exactly right.
Oh, they are. Yeah. Did a similar film. Two scientists. They finally done it. They cure cancer.
Yeah.
And they're excited, and they start to hug, and then they start to kiss, and they realize, oh my God, not only have we solved cancer, we've fallen in love. And they go to this beautiful view of the city, and Fairview Slopes overlooking the city, and they go, wow, our world's fantastic. I don't know what I'll tell my wife, but you know, I've got love, I've cured cancer. Nuclear bomb explodes, kills everyone.
Is that the end of all these?
Yeah, so yeah, when in doubt, just kill everybody.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. Have you ever seen, we had them on the show actually, This Is That? The CBC's This Is
Oh
That?
yeah, I play hockey with Pat Kelly.
Oh, there you
Talented
go. Yeah.
man.
So they kind of tapped into that whole mockumentary, whole kind of.
Oh,
they're
they're so
really
good.
at
They
it, too.
take the CBC format and flip it, and everyone believes it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And phones in, angry.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, those guys are gifted.
So you were doing that way back in.
Yeah. I was basically, I had this idea. I do a series of short films where instead of me stalking celebrities, celebrities were stalking me. Canadian celebrities. So William Shatner lent me his hairpiece. Mr. Dress Up owes me $50.
Basically, you learned on the job.
Yeah, I learned on the job. I only took one film school course, which was a directing course at the Vancouver Film School, which is a nighttime course. But no, I didn't spend a lot of money and 2 years of my life or 4 years getting a degree in film. I have a degree in sociology and psychology, and that requires a lot of writing essays. And I always wanted to write. So my mentors were not instructors. My mentors were famous, successful, talented, disciplined, hardworking writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and writer-directors like the Coen brothers and Shane Black.
Exactly.
Right, you know, the scripts typically, I think everything he directs, he's written. And there's so much you can, you know, unlike say Alfred Hitchcock, who directed his films by being an editor first, or cinematographers that have gone on to be directors. I'm first and foremost a writer, and I'm doing my very best to match my writing ability and discipline to match that visually, and just surround myself with really good visual artists to make sure that my directing doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because so many actors become directors too, because they must observe and just learn on the job as well, kind of thing.
I just saw Macon Blair. He was the lead in Blue Ruin, that indie film, but the hobo revenge story, really good American indie film. So the star of that, Macon Blair, he just directed his first feature called I Don't Feel at Home in the World Anymore, and it had kind of a Coen Brothers feel to it. And it's interesting how actors, I was reading about this film, how actors will often, whoever was their mentor director, that ends up being that actor's style. Like Clint Eastwood, his director really influenced Clint Eastwood's first films as a director as well too. So yeah,
He's probably the most prolific actor turned director.
Yeah,
I guess.
amazing.
Yeah.
He just made a film while we were talking.
Yeah, I know.
Stephen King just wrote a book while we were talking
Exactly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's really hard though when you're directing yourself.
Yeah.
Like I did it in some cheesy, funny little shorts, but I was. They were very wacky and over the top, but man, to do that, that's why when we were making the teaser, the hostage video, I thought there's no way if I'm handcuffed to a chair that I'm going to be able to direct anything. I can't run and look at the monitor, so that's why we brought Krishan in to do a really great job.
How important is it to collaborate, I guess, with
well, it's not like, you know, making a movie is certainly not like being a painter or a novelist. Like, you know, making a movie, well, it's like, yeah, you're holding the paintbrush, but you've got 200 people helping you.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're not strong with the brush, you can be knocked off course, but sometimes they just elevate you. Sorry, not sometimes, all the time, talented people will elevate you. But yeah, you can't make a film by yourself. You have to, by definition, have a crew. Team. Yeah. Exactly. So that's where I'm at right now. Is I've got a number of really great people that I've worked with on my shorts and TV work before. So I have no shortage of really good people that will pitch in and help me out. I think it's really up to me to keep expanding my network and keep meeting great people coming up or really established people in Vancouver. You know, we have so many. There's really no excuse
Yeah.
to not make your feature film
Yeah.
in Vancouver, provided you're willing to shoot around the busy summer schedule.
Exactly.
When everyone is just slammed and no one can come out to work on your film.
Yeah.
So I'm shooting Goners March through early May, probably March, April. Before everyone's opened their cabins for the summer,
Yeah.
because I've got a big cabin sequence. Big showdown. I promise, if anyone's watching and wants to lend me a 2-story cabin for my big epic gun battle, I promise I will not destroy it. I promise I will improve the value of your cabin
Exactly.
by being in this film.
Yeah. People will come to see this cabin.
Yes, they'll erect a plaque
Exactly.
on your lake
Yeah.
if you let me kill some zombies in your hot tub. You have to have a hot tub, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, what are some shows that you've worked on?
I have been a writer and sometimes director, but mainly a writer on 20 TV shows that you've never heard of, all Canadian. Probably the biggest one was, the Olympics. So CTV hired me to do a number of sports specials, and these were very dramatic, serious, real-life stories about Olympic athletes and how their Olympic athletes train so hard and well, they actually change their bodies and they become superhuman. So there's a show called Super Bodies that aired during the Vancouver Olympics and again at the London Olympics with fresh stories in 2012. So that one was seen by, Super Bodies was seen by 13, sorry no, the opening essay I mentioned that Donald Sutherland narrated, or at least one version, I think 13 million people saw that. That was the opening essay welcoming the world to Vancouver, and at that time the stakes were pretty high for Canada because we'd never won a gold medal on home soil, so I was really riffing on that in my script. But Super Bodies, the show about how Olympic athletes are real-life superheroes, that has been repackaged and reshot, but with my scripts translated around the world.
Oh, really?
I was also a writer on George Stroumboulopoulos' talk show.
Okay.
It was called The Hour, when
Yeah,
it was an hour-long
of course,
show. So for 2 seasons back in late 2000s. And some other sports specials that you haven't heard of.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah. And but the very first show I ever wrote for, it's called Zero Avenue, which is an actual avenue that separates America and Canada. And no one's ever heard of that, not even my family. But so
Been
yeah,
on
20
that
shows,
avenue.
and I'm hoping for more. And now that Netflix is spending so much money in the country, What's Goners is done. I'm really going to pitch Netflix hard. I've got some ideas. Some shows where I'd host and travel shows.
Oh, travel shows.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was a travel writer for years, and
Oh, really?
I love it. Yeah.
For who?
For MSN and the National Post.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting paid to travel is not a bad gig.
How many countries did you hit?
Well, I went on probably about 20 all expenses paid trips, including the Cook Islands and Israel and Jamaica and Portugal in the port region of Portugal, which is incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real dream job.
Yeah, hard one.
Yeah, making movies, when people pay you to travel or pay you to make movies,
Yeah.
pay you to make TV, that's the real dream. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate. What did you learn from all this? Like, what was one of the biggest things that you took from all this?
As a
experience?
writer or as a
writer.
director?
A writer.
As a
yeah.
writer. Oh, well, I thought this was really interesting realization. Well, you decide if it's interesting. I think one of the most important things I learned when I was inserting myself into stories, when I was writing, at first, when I started writing for the newspapers, I was writing kind of satirical, third-person takedowns of annoying things in culture. So I would write from a distance, without including my name or any stories about myself. I would write and just scathingly skewer something and make fun of something silly, like the trend of acoustic songs by famous artists. Like when Eric Clapton he would took Layla and he would just do an acoustic version and took all the passion out of it. So I would skewer that trend. I was sort of making fun of trends.
Yeah.
And I realized, and I was scared to include bits and pieces of my life, any sort of examples of, I wouldn't reveal who I was.
Yeah.
Because I thought an audience wasn't going to care about some specific story about something that happened to me today. And over time, I realized, no, actually, the more you put yourself into a story, the more specifics you include, you're actually connecting with audiences better, because now they can relate to you because you're opening yourself up.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the same thing with acting and directing. If you and writing scripts, if you can include, if you can weave into your story some really specific moment, some funny little moment, or some really annoying thing that happened to you in a grocery store. Well, it's probably happened to most people. You're not so special. I mean, yeah, you're unique. We're all special snowflakes, but there's a real connection and a bond that you develop with your readers and your audience if you include things that happen every day to you.
Yeah. Human things, basically.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. And if I was going to give a writer or would-be writer advice on how to get shit done, how to get your script done, how to get your magazine article done, or get your TV series pitch finished, because there's a lot of power and there's huge power in finishing things, and so many people don't finish things. They have great ideas. You know, we all know people who have great ideas in a hot tub, or great ideas,
in the shower or stuff.
Yeah, or they're at a party and then they go, yeah, I should do that someday. And there's a real difference between being at that stage and then actually going, no, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to set a deadline, which is very important. You have to set your own deadlines, because people at this point aren't setting them for you. Yeah. And you've got to carve out that time every day to work on it. So assuming that you have a day job to pay the bills, you've got to figure out what your 5 to 9 is, and that's, your 9 to 5. Let's say you work in an office like I do. Well, then you've got to get up early, and before the kids are up, before anyone else is up in the house, and you've got to bang off an hour or two of work, and maybe set yourself a word goal. Mm-hmm. Stephen King would write a certain word count, does every day, on vacation as well, because he loves it. And maybe that's protected time you do at night. Maybe you work better in the evening. I think a lot of beginning artists, they start by writing at night because it's really quiet, creative time. But I think you kind of lose power minute by minute as you get tired. Okay. So I really like to get up early when I have a screenplay that I want to bang out and outline it. And so you start outlining it. You make sure you work in a door that closes, and you got headphones on, no cell phones, and no internet only for research.
No distractions.
No distractions, and write an outline first, and then just bit by bit, every day, get a couple hours in on it. And you feel so good when you've got those couple hours in.
It's just reps, basically, repetitions.
That's right.
You gotta have a routine. You gotta have.
You're not.
Even if you don't produce anything that day, you still have to. I'm guessing. Well, from my own experience as well too. You gotta set some kind of schedule, and you're basically at work.
Yeah, you got to work those muscles, and then after a while, I was reading a book on screenwriting, saying like, we just by showing up to work every day at our day job, we get really good at it just by showing up every day. Exactly. So there's a couple of books I'd highly recommend, and I go every time I'm starting a project, I revisit these books and reread them. One is there's the Art of War. I'm sure you've heard of. It's a tactical book for business entrepreneurs. But The War of Art.
I have that book actually.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Great. Stephen Pressfield. That is a fantastic book, and basically he says that the angels of creativity will show up on your shoulder every morning, just magically. Yeah. But you have to show up and sit down in that chair and start and let invite the angels to arrive. But you've got to do the work of showing up.
The muses. I
guess. So that one for sure. Stephen King's book on writing is mandatory. And he talks a lot about his car accident. He got smoked by a car and just overcoming that. If he can overcome the wretched horrors of nearly dying and still cranking out creativity and still carving out the time to write, then so can you. I would say Save the Cat is a really great book for screenwriters. And you can apply all those books to any type of writing you're doing. You know, there are a billion ways to have a career in writing. It doesn't have to be making movies.
Well, now with social media, it's a lot easier. You can blog on your Facebook page, or there's Medium. There's another great app.
Yeah,
there's so many different apps that you can just write for yourself.
Yeah.
Basically, you get good at it, and then who knows? Google something. One of your thoughts could go viral or something like that. But
and lately I've been. I don't know if you've No, but I've realized that LinkedIn, no one's funny on LinkedIn, so I've decided I'm going to be the one guy.
You're gonna be
So
the
I'm just
guy.
gonna,
Trust me, I see them all the time.
yeah, you're a true liker of my stuff. I appreciate it because I realize everyone else, and I've been guilty of it too, we're all suckholes on LinkedIn. We're all like trying to look really cool, we're really professional, and we don't do any sort of offbeat or bizarre jokes.
Catch people off guard for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm. And I'm blogging in one sentence at a time on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's all. And lately, I've been posting things on social media that are bits of dialogue I'm going to use in my film.
Oh wow!
I'm just testing them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't make. And so if they're kind of random, if they seem random, it's because they're torn from the lips of my actors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. When the film's made, then you go, oh yeah, he posted about that once. Yeah. It's kind of fun. And social media for me is a great way to warm up at the start of my writing day.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. And you get caught up on current events, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then.
But social media, though, if it's a time suck.
Yeah,
so,
it is. You got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
That's what I like about LinkedIn. There's no distractions. Whereas, like, say, Facebook, there's cat videos. And,
it's cat videos.
And political rants and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So. We've all lost so many hours because of Facebook and Instagram, but Louis C.K. He just before his the scandals of the past year, I noticed that he was only using Twitter to just basically announce some new episode that he'd directed. Mm-hmm. He was using it after the fact. He wasn't. So many comedians. Use Twitter to get jokes out there and get content and feel fresh, but that can consume a lot of time that might be better spent writing for yourself and just honing your craft and doing another draft on your script or your stand-up set, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, use social media sparingly.
Well, as a tool as well.
Use it as a tool afterwards to promote yourself.
Yeah.
Certainly use it for networking, but don't let it consume your creative hours.
Exactly.
Yeah, really, like you want to protect, I'm not saying use physical force, protect those 2 or whatever hours a day of creativity, but you certainly want to carve it out against all intrusions. You carve that time out and don't allow anything to interrupt it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can always check your messages 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be accessible all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, we didn't have the phones. So it's still, in my mind, it's still new. We can turn it off. Yeah. We have the choice.
100%.
I don't have kids, so frankly, it's a little easier for me.
Basically, I want to ask you, like, for comedy writing is different than regular, like, drama or like that kind of stuff. So, any advice for people that are writing for comedy or?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's not an uncommon question. What is the secret? Is that the right term?
Yeah.
What is the secret of great comedy writing?
Secret sauce or the...
Yeah, well, let's look at our heroes or my heroes. So I look at guys like Louis C.K., Jim Jeffries, and Dave Chappelle of late. They're creating a brand new, beautiful storytelling arc once a year, sometimes twice a year. Mm-hmm. They entertain you and take you on this amazing ride for 90 minutes a year, and that's a lot of material to be that tight and to have people in your grasp and have the confidence to take them on this amazing ride, like 1,000, 2,000 people in the auditorium, maybe more, and to not have lost a moment of stumbling. I'm sure they edited out some stumbles, but by that point, by the time they're on stage performing their stories for that year, for that Netflix special, it's so tight, and yet it still looks like they're just thinking these things up on the spot. They've this has just occurred to them, and they're passionately wanting to share it with you fresh for the first time. That's incredible. So how do they get there? How do they do it? And what I'm noticing is that they're doing something that the old comics didn't. A lot of them didn't. The old stand-up comics would have their act for year after year. Like Seinfeld, he would have the same act for year after year, maybe add a couple of fresh jokes.
You'd add some stuff for sure.
You'd add some stuff. Yeah. But these guys would tear up their stuff and start fresh every year.
Yeah.
And Louis C.K., he was guilty of doing that, and then he realized his heroes, George Carlin, he would tear up old material and start fresh every year, have a brand new special by the end of the year.
Well, Carlin he had one every year, yeah.
Yeah.
HBO special for how many years?
That's impressive, and basically these men and women would just start their year fresh, and it all starts with baby steps. It all starts with one minute of material, and then stretching to 5 minutes of material, and just sitting in your chair and forcing yourself to look forward, not back. So, as you were saying, is it the 10,000 hour principle? You've got to put that time in, and you can't just go on stage just because you're a funny guy amongst your friends. You're a funny guy on social media, and you think, well, I could totally do what they do. I should go up and just totally destroy, riffing it with a couple of beers. Next time there's an amateur night or an open mic. So it probably doesn't work that way. You have to put the time in. You have to be a disciplined writer.
Yeah, workshop it.
Yeah, if you early on or at whatever point in your life you decide you want to write comedy, you've got to learn the discipline of dramatic storytelling, telling a dramatic story that has crisis and conflict in every scene. Whether that scene starts with conflict, it's certainly got to end with conflict, or vice versa. It should start with a positive, end with a negative, or start with a negative, end with a positive. So you've got to learn dramatic principles and dramatic structure, but then you've got to do this extra thing. You've also got to surprise people and make them laugh. And it's doing two things really well, and not everyone can do it. So, secrets of comedy. Well, work your ass off. Try and get rid of your ego and cockiness. And instead, you want to operate from a place of confidence. So as early in your career as possible, you want your ambition to fuel all the hard work that you have to put in to be a success of any level. But you don't want ambition to turn into this ego thing where you feel like you're better than everybody and your words don't need a rewrite. I think comedy really, what I'm trying to get at is to really be great at comedy, you've got to work hard, but you've also got to share your work and get notes from people. You've got to bounce it off people. You've got to workshop it. You know, I don't ever think a film is finished unless I bounce it off. I've got a trusted core of about 10 different people, maybe more, that I can rely on to send rough cuts and get their really, really hard advice on should I kill some of these babies for the strength of the film? Love killing babies, though. It hurts and it's pleasurable at the same time, because you want to be able to tell a great story in as little time as possible, and have callbacks, and to have the principle of three, the comedy rule of three, and sometimes four.
That's what I was going to ask you about. The comedy rule of three, the timing and stuff, right?
I think.
What is that?
Is it Steve Martin that said, he's often asked, all the time he's asked how to make it in Hollywood. So I assume that's funny people asking him, because he's been a comedian all along. And he says, well, there's only one secret to making it in Hollywood, and that's be just undeniably good. You have to be so good that people cannot deny that this is something that they would like. This is a person that can help them make money.
Exactly.
And
be so good that they can't ignore you, or something like that.
Yes. I'm totally botching the quote, but Steve Martin said, be so good that you cannot be ignored. You're so undeniably skilled at telling a story and connecting with audiences that people want to see the next story that you tell, and the next story after that. And there's no pressure. You just have to keep doing it over and over and over again. No pressure.
Exactly. Last question. What was probably the best piece of advice you received in the industry? Be so funny that you can't be ignored.
Oh, well, I can say best piece of advice I've ever received about making films was actually something I read that Francis Ford Coppola said. Francis Ford Coppola was asked, so how do you convince people to give you money to make these films? He goes, well, I never ask people for permission to make my films. Instead, I present them with the fact that I'm making this movie, and if they're wise, they'll get in on it early and join me and help me make this great story. So don't ask, do.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks to Call It Fitness for the sponsorship, and see you next time.
Vancouver, what is your story? Our city, our story.